This video will transform your approach to starting your own business, and using these two no-code tools, you might actually launch that side hustle you've been dreaming of for the last few months.
No code is the best in the whole wide world. No code, oh yeah, yeah. No, 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 no code.
The best guidance for your idea, the best feedback you'll ever get is by putting your idea into the market, releasing it as soon as it is viable to do so, after you've built it to a point of a functioning prototype, or what is called a minimum viable product, or MVP for short. Why spend hundreds and hundreds of hours fine-tuning your project, only to find out when you launch it that it's not really something that anybody really wants? The idea that's really at the heart of the no-code movement, or the no-code revolution: start, then learn. And I don't just mean start no code and then learn no code. Build out your idea fast with no code and then iterate. Gather feedback, learn from the live market, and assess whether this idea is worthy of your time, attention, and effort. This is the true power that is at the core of the no-code revolution, and the power that no-code has unleashed for all of us, coders and no-coders alike. We can now literally come up with an idea for a business on a Friday night and have a really impressive functioning web application designed and built by the end of the weekend. Unleash it into the wild and see what happens. Learn and adapt and improve and rebuild and launch a version 2, and you get the idea. And that is why, after hundreds and hundreds of hours of researching and playing around with the no-code tools myself, and having launched several projects myself along the way, I've picked these two front-end no-code app builders. By the end of the video, I will show you why these two no-code tools cater perfectly to the start then learn ideology, and how you can best use these tools to end your procrastination or idea paralysis, and to, well, get started. And then to learn, iterate, rebuild, and ultimately to create and build a successful and enduring online business. So top tool number one, well, it'll come as no surprise to some of my existing subscribers. Softr.io is one of my all-time favorite front-end no-code tools. You can build client portals, communities, e-commerce stores, marketplaces, directory sites, resource directories, pretty much anything really. And they've literally made it as easy as dragging and dropping blocks onto a page in their visual design studio. It is really incredible what you can whip up in just a few short minutes. What I really like about Softr is that there is little to no learning curve to get started with it. There is, of course, a learning curve to some extent, to go from, let's say, a complete beginner to intermediate stage, and then to advanced or power user stage. But really, I've not come across any tool like it in terms of ease of use and intuitive design, that even for a complete novice who has never used the tool before can launch a really nice looking web page genuinely in less than half an hour. The learning curve with Softr probably stems more from its more complex functionality, like editing and user group permissions, but really the learning curve comes from learning Airtable, which currently is the no-code database backend that powers your Softr built application. But Softr has plans to become database agnostic. What this basically means is that down the line you'll be able to build Softr applications on top of any database, not just Airtable. So it can be any database that you're comfortable with, even something like a Google Sheet, for example. The pricing for Softr, well, it's really quite good, particularly if you're just experimenting and trying out with it. They have a generous free plan, and they have a pretty good middle to upper tier plan before you might commit to the final business plan, which really gives you every feature you could possibly need inside of a Softr built web app. The main differentiator between the business plan and the pro plan is probably the field level permissions and the role level permissions, and you'll probably quickly understand why that is useful if you become a bit of a power user in Softr. But you can definitely build 99% of projects out there using the professional plan, and even if you just want to get started with a web page or a simple directory type app, the first two plans will certainly cover that off. Softr, I find, is perfect for the start or launch or MVP stage build. Now don't get me wrong, Softr is also excellent and oftentimes completely adequate for a final version build. But what it offers in terms of speed and no learning curve, and making it as easy as building with blocks, it achieves this by making a lot of the design or customization decisions for you and for its users. What this translates to is that if you are looking to build in any bespoke or custom type features or functionality into your application, or even say customize the layout within your app beyond that which the default blocks and software allow you to do, which again is really quite a lot, then you start finding yourself probably pushing the boundaries of what Softr is built for. And it is when you've launched your MVP app with Softr and you learn that your initial idea is not completely rubbish and you've attracted some actual paying customers, people that are willing to pay you for the solution that your Softr built app offers to them, and you start gathering feedback, or you learn from the market that a particular functionality that you hadn't even thought of before launching, but is now being raised time and time again by customers of your app, would be a game changer to your app. Well, it's time to start allocating more of your time to the build of this particular app and to start working on a more complex, more customized, more bespoke version of your app, a version 2. And that's where my top tool number 2 comes in. Builder.com is an incredibly versatile, incredibly flexible no-code app builder. I genuinely believe that with Builder.com, no coders can build virtually anything you can imagine, or at least anything a coder can build. Builder.com definitely takes more time to build with than something like Softr. And that's why I think it is perfect for those vetted ideas or those tried and tested ideas that you are now doubling down on and that you are now worth the extra time investment and build time to bring your app to the next level and to build a more comprehensive version 2 of itself. Builder.com also has a much steeper learning curve than Softr.io. And this is because of the flexibility and depth that Builder.com has in it, that it enables no coders to design every element, every style, every action within your app. You can save time on subsequent projects by saving what is called patterns, which are effectively like custom blocks that you have built that you can then use in any of your apps. Builder.com is probably bridging the gap somewhere between no coders and coders, in that while it is a visual drag and drop designer, the structure of the build studio and how everything is configured in your app follows the pattern or structure or logic flow of how HTML, CSS, and JavaScript operates. Builder.com is probably at the advanced end of the scale in terms of no-code learning, and you might even call it a low-code rather than a no-code tool. I would even recommend that if you're contemplating starting with Builder, that you consider taking a beginner level course in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Not necessarily to learn how to write code, but more so to learn the overall high-level concepts in each of those areas. It was by having a basic high-level knowledge in those 3 areas, plus my no-coder experience, that enabled me to accelerate my abilities within Builder.com Studio. There is also a really helpful Discord community, and the educational and tutorial content around Builder.com specifically is continuing to expand and grow. The pricing in Builder.com, well, it does appear that it is in a beta pricing still. However, the top end plan you can see here is at $30, which covers every feature you could possibly need. So it's really quite competitive currently. And there's also this cool opportunity at the moment whereby you can actually buy an NFT released by Builder, which will give you a lifetime studio pass access, meaning you've bought yourself an intangible asset, a nice piece of artwork, but you also get a lifetime access to use this software. So it's really a cool way of releasing a plan and a pricing approach for new customers and to get new no-coders invested into the platform from an early stage. So Softr is incredible in terms of speed, flexibility, low learning curve, and if you have an idea that you need to test or get to prototype stage fast, Softr is the way to go. 80% of the time, Softr is as far as you will need to go. And then if you find a particular item of yours that is showing promise and could benefit from some bespoke features, then you might turn to Builder.com if it's the case that you want to start really building in bespoke functionality into the app. Really start building your own blocks effectively and customizing every single component or element on the screen rather than just dragging and dropping pre-built default blocks and being able to only configure those blocks based on the preset levels. And that brings me back nicely to the concept of start, then learn, right? Start with Softr, then learn from your feedback, and if it's an idea that's not entirely rubbish, as we talked about earlier, well, contemplate whether in its current build it will scale and whether it is okay as it is with its current features, and that might well be the case. But you might find that, oh, it needs to now start to differentiate itself, it needs to start to hone in on certain really niche features and functionalities, and that's where Builder.com will certainly be worth your time investment. So if you enjoyed today's video, I think you'll really enjoy this video here to show you how to get started with Softr. And if you also are thinking about jumping into Builder, then I recommend that you check this video out over here. If you would like to help me and support my channel, I would really appreciate if you would consider subscribing to the channel. I would love if you'd hit that like button. And as always, thank you for staying around to the end of the video. And if you have any questions, please leave a comment in the section below and I will respond to you.